At a private resort in the Maldives, a couple at the bar clinked their glasses. This place has a secret. Most couples don't leave together. I laughed until I found a key card in his pocket for a different bungalow. That night, I waited outside and watched him welcome a woman inside. The next morning, he woke up to his bags packed and a one-way ticket home. His jaw dropped as I boarded a yacht with someone else. I never thought my relationship would end on a private resort in the Maldives. We were supposed to be celebrating our upcoming wedding. 5 years together, 2 engaged, and we finally had the time and money for a trip like this. White sand, crystal water, private bungalows over the ocean. It was perfect. At least, I thought it was. The first night, we were at the bar, sipping cocktails when the bartender smirked and said, "This place has a secret. Most couples don't leave together." I laughed. So did Daniel. We clinked our glasses. I had no idea my life was about to fall apart. The third night, Daniel wasn't feeling well. "Too much sun," he said, rubbing his temples. "I think I'll just head to bed early." I told him I'd stay with him, but he waved me off. "No, babe. Go enjoy yourself. Have a drink at the bar." So I did. I sat alone with a mango daiquiri, listening to the waves. The air was warm, the breeze soft. I should have been relaxed. I wasn't. Something about the way he had said it nagged at me. It wasn't like him to turn down a nightcap with me. I finished my drink and walked back to our bungalow. Quietly. Carefully. Just in case. The lights were off. His side of the bed had a lump under the sheets. His phone was on the nightstand, face down. His wallet was half open on the dresser. I don't know why I checked. Maybe instinct. Maybe paranoia. I wasn't expecting to find anything. But I did. A white keycard. For a different bungalow. Not ours. I stared at it, my stomach tightening. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe the front desk gave it to him by accident. Maybe there was a logical explanation. But deep down, I already knew. I left. Walked the wooden path over the ocean, my pulse hammering. The resort was quiet at this hour, just the sound of the waves beneath me. Bungalow 17. I stopped outside. Stood in the shadows. Listened. Muffled voices. A woman's laugh. The clink of glasses. I felt like I was going to throw up. For 10 minutes, I just stood there, telling myself I was wrong. That when the door opened, it wouldn't be him. Then the door opened. And there he was. Daniel. Shirt unbuttoned. A lazy smile on his face. Behind him, a woman in a silky red robe. Blonde. Younger. Laughing at something he said. She kissed his cheek before disappearing back inside. And I just stood there. Frozen. I don't know how long I was there before my body remembered how to move. I turned and walked away. Didn't run. Didn't cry. Just walked. The last thing I heard was him closing the door. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the edge of our bed, staring at the suitcase in the corner. His suitcase. And then I started packing. Everything. Clothes. Shoes. Cologne. Toothbrush. I wasn't thinking. My body just moved. It wasn't until I was zipping the bag shut that I realized my hands were shaking. I grabbed my phone. Opened my email. Booked a one-way flight. Middle seat. Economy. Departure. Tomorrow morning. Then I printed the ticket. I left it on top of his suitcase, right next to the key card for Bungalow 17. And then I waited. The sun was rising when Daniel walked in. His shirt was wrinkled. His hair was a mess. He reeked of cheap perfume and liquor. I was sitting on the patio, sipping coffee, watching the water. I didn't turn around when I heard the door open. I just waited. There was a long pause. Then, what the hell is this? I looked over my shoulder. He was standing in front of his packed bags, the flight confirmation email open on his laptop. His eyes flicked to the key card I had left on top. His face paled. I took a slow sip of my coffee. "Your flight leaves in 3 hours. Silence. Then, you don't understand." I finally turned to face him. "Oh, help me understand then." He opened his mouth. Closed it. The way he kept glancing at the door, at his bags, at me, I could see the panic setting in. "It's not what you think." I laughed. Actually laughed. "Really? Because I think you left our bed last night to go to a different bungalow and fuck another woman. So if that's not what happened, please, enlighten me." His jaw clenched. "It was just a mistake." I raised an eyebrow. "A mistake?" "I was drunk. You were sober when you told me to go to the bar alone." He flinched. "Baby, please don't." His hands curled into fists at his sides. "You don't have to do this." "No, Daniel. You didn't have to do this." Another pause. His face twisted into something angry. "Oh, so that's it? You're just throwing everything away." I felt a flicker of rage in my chest, but I kept my voice even. "No. You did that when you opened the door for her." He raked a hand through his hair, pacing now. "I was gonna tell you," I laughed again. "Oh, were you? When?" "After the wedding." He groaned, pressing his hands to his face. I checked my watch. You should get going. Wouldn't want to miss your flight. You're really sending me home? His voice was quieter now, almost small. Yes. He stared at me. I stared back. Then his expression changed. He straightened, eyes narrowing. You planned this too fast. I frowned. What? The flight. The bags. You had all this ready before I even walked in. My heartbeat picked up, but I kept my face blank. So, he took a slow step forward. So maybe you're not as innocent as you act. Something in his tone made my skin crawl. Excuse me? I fucked up, okay. But you're a little too calm about this. It's like you were waiting for it. Like you already had your own escape plan. My stomach twisted. Because he wasn't wrong. But he wasn't right either. I had found the key card. I had packed his things. I had booked his flight. But what I hadn't planned, what I hadn't expected, was the other part of the night. What had happened after I walked away from Bungalow 17. What I hadn't told him. Or anyone. Yet, Daniel was still staring at me, eyes sharp, calculating. He thought he had found a crack in my story. That maybe, just maybe, I wasn't the only one betrayed here. I could feel the air shift between us. The anger in his voice was cooling into something else. Suspicion. You were waiting for this, he muttered, mostly to himself. You had a plan. You knew. I set my coffee down carefully. And? His head tilted slightly. And I don't believe you just packed my bags and booked me a flight. Not without something else going on. I didn't respond. Because he was right. What I hadn't told him, what I hadn't told myself until now, was that I hadn't gone back to our bungalow after I saw him with her. I had walked straight to the bar. And someone else had been waiting for me there. He wasn't a stranger. I had noticed him earlier in the week. Tall. Broad shoulders. Dark eyes that lingered too long. The kind of man who exuded quiet confidence, the kind that made other men uncomfortable. I had caught him watching Daniel and me once. Not in a creepy way. More like, amused. Like he already knew something I didn't. That night, I was too numb to think. I walked into the bar, sat down, and ordered something strong. And he was already there. Rough night, he had asked. I didn't answer right away. My fingers tightened around my glass. Then I let out a small, bitter laugh. You could say that. He nodded like he had been expecting that answer. You're not the first. That got my attention. What? He swirled his drink. This resort. It has a reputation. I thought about the bartender's words from our first night. This place has a secret. Most couples don't leave together. My skin prickled. Go on. The man glanced around, then leaned in slightly. Let's just say this place was designed to test people. I frowned. Test. He chuckled, but there was no humor in it. I assume you didn't pick this resort yourself? I blinked. No. Daniel planned it. Of course he did. My stomach clenched. What are you saying? He took a slow sip of his drink, eyes locked on mine. I'm saying, he didn't just cheat on you. He was meant to. I didn't sleep at all that night. Not because of Daniel. Not because of the blonde in Bungalow 17. But because I couldn't stop replaying what the man at the bar had told me. That this place, this beautiful, luxurious resort, wasn't just some romantic getaway. It was a playground. A place where relationships unraveled. A place where people came as couples and left alone. They know exactly what they're doing, the man had said. Everything is set up to create distance. Separate itineraries. Solo spa treatments. Events where your partner mysteriously doesn't show up. And then, of course, there's the bungalows. The bungalows? He had smirked. You noticed how the key cards don't have names? Just numbers? My stomach twisted. People lose their keys all the time. The staff accidentally delivers the wrong one. And suddenly, someone's standing outside a door that isn't theirs, meeting someone they weren't supposed to meet. It wasn't an accident. Daniel hadn't planned to cheat on me. But the resort had planned for him too. And he had taken the bait. Now, standing in front of me, Daniel had no idea what I knew. I had all the power and he didn't even realize it. But then, you didn't sleep here last night. The words were quiet. My heart stopped. What? His eyes flicked to the untouched side of the bed. You packed my bags. You booked my flight. But you didn't sleep here. Shit. My mind raced. Had I been so focused on revenge that I hadn't even thought about covering my own tracks? So tell me, Daniel said, stepping closer. Where did you go last night? And just like that, the balance shifted. Because now, he was the one looking for answers. I met his eyes and held his gaze. He wasn't stupid. He saw it, the hesitation, the split second of panic. Where did you go last night? I could lie. Tell him I wandered the beach alone, that I needed time to think. But the way he was looking at me told me he wouldn't believe it. And maybe I didn't want to lie. I wanted him to hurt. Why do you care? I said, my voice calm, measured. You were busy last night, weren't you? Daniel's jaw tightened. That's not an answer. Neither was yours. He exhaled sharply, dragging a hand down his face. God, just tell me. So I did. I was at the bar. His shoulders relaxed a little, but I wasn't done. Talking to a man. His expression shifted. The ease, the brief moment of relief, disappeared. What? I tilted my head, studying him. I wanted to watch it sink in. A man who already knew what you did before I even said a word. A man who told me this resort wasn't what it seemed. Daniel let out a short, breathless laugh. Oh, come on. You think I'm lying? I asked. I think you're being dramatic. That was the wrong thing to say. Dramatic? I took a step forward, my voice rising. I caught you cheating on me. I saw you with her. I heard you laughing while I stood outside like an idiot. His mouth opened. And the worst part? You were too fucking dumb to realize that the whole damn place set you up for it. Silence. Daniel blinked. What? I laughed, shaking my head. God, you really don't get it. You think you lost control, that it just happened? No, Daniel. This place was designed for you to cheat. And you fell for it. He looked like he wanted to argue, but doubt crept into his eyes. Bullshit. Oh, yeah? I grabbed my phone, pulled up the resort reviews, and tossed it at him. Read. He caught the phone, scrolled. His expression changed. I knew what he was seeing. This place is cursed. Went in with a fiancé, left single. Honeymoon ruining disaster. Do not bring someone you love. It's like they orchestrate breakups. His fingers tightened around the phone. You're telling me this is some trap? Not a trap, I said. A game. They separate couples. They accidentally send people the wrong key cards. And then they wait. See who's loyal and who isn't. Daniel's face paled. You're lying. I saw you open the door for her, Daniel. Silence. It wasn't real, he said, his voice weaker now. I didn't mean anything, that's the point. I folded my arms. It wasn't real, but you still did it. You had every chance to say no. You didn't. And now, here we are. His breathing was uneven now. I watched as he struggled, tried to piece together an excuse, a way out. So, what, you got revenge? His voice was sharper now, desperate. Is that why you were at the bar? Did you fuck him? I smirked. I didn't answer. Because I wanted him to suffer. His hands curled into fists. Tell me. I don't owe you a damn thing. His face twisted in fury. He grabbed his suitcase, the flight ticket still resting on top. He looked at it, then at me, his jaw clenched so tight I thought his teeth might break. I hope you're happy he spat. You just ruined our entire fucking life. I tilted my head. No, Daniel. You did that when you walked into Bungalow 17. He shook his head, laughed bitterly, and stormed out. I didn't watch him leave. I didn't need to. I just turned back to my coffee, took a sip, and listened to the sound of the ocean. The yacht was waiting. And this time, I wouldn't be sailing away alone.